hasn't found its color yet, and the ocean is breathing slow, each wave a chest rising and falling in the dark. The deck slick and cold, soaking back through his shoes. Salt air clings like sweat before the day even begins. He moves with practiced rhythm, silent, checking everything twice. The belt cinched tight, the regulator purged until it's clean air. The knife strapped against the calf, last line of hope. Hands rough from years of hauling nets find comfort in ritual. The boat is small against the open Atlantic, a toothpick on endless black water. Engines hum soft but steady, masking the low groan of wood and metal. The crew speaks little, eyes heavy, knowing silence is safer. Stories of the sea don't need voices to survive, only witnesses. He rolls the regulator once more between his palms, listens for leaks, for flaws, for the whisper of betrayal. A diver's life rests on hearing the smallest sound. Tonight, everything feels sharp, every sense tuned. The horizon is a bruise, purple bleeding into gray stars, thinning as if pulled under by something hungry. His chest is tight, but not from fear. Not yet. It is the weight of habit, the prayer of survival. The sea carries legends like bones under sand. Men vanishing without splash, swallowed by dark water. Ships drifting empty, logbooks ink-smeared, clocks stopped. No need for monsters when the ocean is itself enough. Still whispers cling, tales told in hushed tones, of jaws that close like doors to another world, of bodies dragged under and never spat back, of bellies that hold men alive, waiting for mercy. He shakes his head, chasing away the thought, but the stories live inside the salt, inside every breath. Every diver knows them, even if they laugh them off, because no one dives without bargaining with the deep. A gull screams above, breaking the silence. Its wings cut through the wind, desperate, restless. Bird scent shifts before men ever notice, and he feels it. A pulse, heavy, beneath the waves. The captain nods, a signal sharper than words. It is time. Ropes thrown, gear checked again. Fins tightened, mask pressed to face, heart steady. One step forward, and the sea swallows him whole, cold like teeth, closing around his body. The shock steals breath, even through steel and rubber. Hands tighten, mind sharpens, eyes adjust. Darkness here is not absence, it is presence. He kicks downward, bubbles rising like ghosts. Each exhale a silver prayer, rising to a sky he cannot see. The world above shrinks to memory. Here, pressure is king and silence is scripture. The ocean folds him deeper, layer by layer. Light bends, weakens, breaks, until it is gone. All that remains is the rhythm of breath, and the vast throat of water leading down. His flashlight cuts a cone into the black particles drift like ash in a drowned cathedral. Fins stir the quiet, body-slicing shadows. Every sense alive, but still not ready for what waits. The current shifts, sudden, a body moving unseen. The hair at his neck prickles though it is soaked. Something vast rolls in the dark, felt not seen. The kind of weight that changes water itself. He steadies his breathing, slow, careful, training louder than fear, louder than instinct. The regulator hisses like a steady metronome, but deep inside, his pulse is chaos. Then, silence breaks, not with sound, but with absence. Fish scatter like sparks from an unseen flame. The water itself feels emptied, pulled aside, and he knows before he sees, something enormous is here. The beam of his light trembles across emptiness, and then a wall of flesh rises where there should be none. Gray, endless, scarred by time and battle. It moves like the side of a mountain rolling forward. The whale is too close, too sudden, no space between thought and reality. Mouth opening, cavern wide enough to erase him, a throat that leads not to death, but to darkness. Instinct shatters training. He kicks too slow. The ocean is not wide enough to escape jaws this large. The light catches rows of baleen like bars of a gate, and then he is inside, swallowed by silence and flesh. For 36 seconds, the world is gone. Only the crush of muscle, the press of warm dark, salt and air, and fear churn together in lungs. Every second a prayer, every heartbeat a scream. He twists, thrashes, every motion swallowed by living walls. His knife drags free but finds no enemy, only flesh. A chamber alive, pulsing, shifting, holding him tight. The ocean outside feels like another planet. Darkness is not absence here. It is alive. It breathes around him, a rhythm of captivity. The whale moves, and with it his body swings. A puppet caught in the throat of something ancient. He feels the walls tighten, muscle pressing against mask and tank. Every second louder, every beat stretching longer. The mind claws for air, even as the regulator hisses. He is not drowning, but it feels like being buried alive. The whale dives deeper, body bending with the pull of abyss. Pressure mounts, ears ache, chest caves in underweight unseen. Still, he fights, limbs thrashing, knife carving water, not flesh. The ocean outside is gone. There is only living prison. 36 seconds in the gut of legend. No clock could hold them. No witness could measure. Time breaks when darkness breathes around you. Fear becomes a world, not a moment. And then, shift, sudden, violent. The whale convulses, body arching with force. A surge of water tears through the chamber. He feels himself ripped, flung, expelled back to the sea. He spins in chaos, body tumbling through bubbles. Mask rattling, knife slipping, lungs burning. The flashlight swings, beam fractured, scattering shadows. And he knows he is free before he can believe it. Salt floods his mouth, but it tastes like life. Hands claw upward, every muscle begging for surface. Above, dawn has cracked the sky, faint and pale. Below, the whale fades, vanishing like myth. He breaks surface with a gasp so loud it feels unnatural. Air shreds his throat, chest heaving, body shaking. Voices scream from the boat, ropes thrown wide. Hands reach, pull, drag him from jaws of sea to deck. He collapses to wood, hard and real. Every nerve firing, every muscle trembling. Salt water pours from his lips, mixed with blood. And still he breathes, miracle measured in sound. The crew stares, frozen, not daring to speak. Eyes wide with something between awe and terror. One crosses himself, another backs away in silence. Because men do not return from bellies of whales. But he has 36 seconds, carved into bone. 36 seconds that made him legend and curse. The ocean gave him back, but marked him forever. Because once swallowed, you are never truly free. The night after survival is worse than the event, because silence has time to echo, and memory sharpens. He lies awake, house creaking like shifting ribs. Every shadow on the wall becomes the curve of flesh. Sleep drags him under, but only into another dark walls. Pulse, close, squeeze, mask fogging. He wakes gasping, hands claw in air, salt still on lips. 36 seconds loop forever, never letting go. Doctors speak of trauma, call it miracle too. But he knows the truth is not so clean. The sea gave him back, but left a part inside him, a silence that hums like a second heartbeat. He avoids the shore, though waves call each dawn. Each crash sounds like baleen closing again, Each gull's cry splits him in half, past and present. Even air tastes of salt, even breath tastes borrowed. Yet people come, always come, strangers with cameras, notebooks, microphones. They want details, want the thrill of his terror. They want to touch miracle without touching fear. He gives them words but not truth, because truth is too heavy to hand away. The well was not story, it was judgment, and judgment still lingers, alive in him. Stories spread faster than storms across docks. Some believe, some laugh, some twist into myth. All agree on one thing: survival makes a man different, and he is no longer only himself, but what the sea left. Reporters still come, cameras blinking, lights too bright. They want spectacle, the neat arc of miracle. He gives them fragments, never full truth, because truth was inside, and inside cannot be told. One man asks, voice sharp, eyes hungry, "Were you afraid?" As if fear were new, rare. He laughs once, low, bitter, because fear was everything. Fear was flesh. Fear was breath. Fear was God. Another asks if he prayed, if faith saved him. He says nothing because prayer in darkness was no choice. Prayer was scream without sound. Faith was oxygen. And still, 36 seconds felt like eternity. They published stories with words not his modern Jonah. Miracle diver. Man swallowed alive. Each headline builds walls higher, stories tighter, until truth is buried beneath the weight of myth. He avoids papers, avoids screens. But the story follows, in eyes of strangers. Mothers clutch children closer as he walks by, as if he carries ocean's hunger in his lungs. He drinks more now, but rum does not drown memory. Each swallow only thickens a salt in his throat. The bar is loud, but he hears only whale silence. Noise cannot outshout darkness that breathes. Friends leave, crew leaves, even family drifts, because no one can live beside a man who lived inside death. He becomes ghost in his own town, shadow on shore. Alive, but claimed, marked, half returned. Some nights he walks pier alone, eyes on black horizon. He swears he sees shape roll beneath water, a shadow larger than sea itself, patient, waiting. He grips railing tight, pulse racing, knees weak. The whale is gone, but not gone. Its breath lingers in tide, in dreams, in silence. 36 seconds stretched into forever, and he knows escape was survival, not release. The days stretch, but he does not measure them anymore. Time feels thin, stretched like skin over bone. Every morning he wakes with lungs aching as if still under pressure. Every night he closes his eyes and the walls of flesh close too. He tries to return to work, but the sea has changed for him. Nets are no longer nets. They are snares dragging him back to memory. The deck is no longer deck. It is the rib cage of something alive. Every sound is too loud, every silence too deep, every breath too fragile. The others avoid him, though they do not say why. They nod, but not the same way as before. Their eyes slide off him. Some whisper that he carries a curse, that he has been claimed, that men who are swallowed once belong to the sea forever. He knows they are not wrong, though he hates them for it, because in his chest he carries not just memory but weight, a silence that hums louder than voices, heavier than words. The whale is gone, but he is still inside it, every moment. And the worst part is knowing it will never let him go, that no priest, no doctor, no bottle can scrape away what clings, that 36 seconds have become a lifetime, that survival does not mean escape, only another form of captivity. Block 01, Kant. 7. He sits on the edge of his bed with the lamp unlit. Darkness feels too much like truth, and yet he cannot bear light either. The shadows on the wall bend into ribs, into walls, into muscle. Every corner of the room breathes with the rhythm of the wail. He covers his ears, but silence is louder than sound. The regulator hiss echoes without machine, without mask. His pulse races until it feels like drowning in his own body. He whispers prayers he did not believe in until he was swallowed. Faith is strange when pressed into flesh and silence. It does not arrive with light. It claws itself out of darkness. In those seconds he was neither man nor myth, only desperate, and desperation is the truest religion he has ever known. He remembers the taste of air when he was spat out, how it burned, shredded, split him wide open. Air is supposed to give life, but that day it felt violent, like being torn back from death against his will. And in the memory of breath is the seed of fear, because every breath after feels borrowed, feels stolen, as if the sea could come collect its dead at any moment. And when he sleeps, that is exactly what it does. He begins to write, though the words never come easy. Pages fill with broken sentences, lines that trail into dark. He wants to tell, but words are too small, too thin. What lived inside him was larger than language, older than scripture. He writes 36 again and again, numbers bleeding into margins. 36 seconds, 36 heartbeats, 36 lifetimes. The page looks like ritual, like spell, like confession, but still it does not hold what he is trying to release. So he stops writing and begins walking instead, mile after mile along shore, boots sinking into wet sand. The tide licks at his heels like something mocking, and every step feels like walking along the edge of a mouth. The horizon offers no comfort, only reminder that the ocean has no end, no boundary, no mercy. It could take him again at any moment, without warning. And this time, it might not give him back. But still he walks, because staying inside walls feels worse. Walls breathe like ribs, ceilings close like throats. Better to be near the sea than trapped in memory, because at least near the sea he knows what haunts him. Word spreads beyond the coast now, carried by wires and screens. Cities hear of him, strangers argue over him. Some call him miracle, some fraud, some symbol of divine, but none of them know what it means to be swallowed alive. They imagine Jonah, clean story, neat ending, shining faith, but his truth is not neat, not shining, not scripture. His truth is darkness, pressure, silence that moved like ribs. His truth is fear carved into lungs, faith born of panic. And yet the world wants miracle, not trauma. So they make him miracle, carve his name into headlines. He becomes story, not man, becomes symbol, not survivor. And still he wakes each night, choking on salt and silence. He begins to hate the word survivor, because survival implies victory, implies strength. But what he carries is not victory, it is scar. Survival is not triumph, it is sentence, heavy and endless. So, when they call him miracle, he smiles thin and hollow, because they are wrong and he cannot correct them. Because truth is heavier than myth and no one wants weight. They want wonder, and he can never give it without lying. He walks the shore at dawn, mist curling around ankles like smoke. The horizon bruised and heavy, gulls silent as if holding breath. He waits for the pull, for the whisper, for the memory to rise. And it does, always, the tide carrying him back inside. Every ripple looks like baleen, every swell a rib closing. The sea does not forgive, it does not forget. It lent him 36 seconds of survival, but the debt is written in his lungs, permanent, unpayable. He kneels in sand, hands sinking deep, heart racing, eyes fixed on endless black line where water swallows sky. He wonders if the whale still drifts below, waiting, not hunting, not merciful, only present, eternal, patient. And he knows he is still there too, suspended inside. Alive, yes, but alive inside memory's belly. Every morning is a resurfacing, every night a drowning. The ocean has not released him, it has only changed form. Block 1, Comte. 11. The town grows tired of miracle stories. New tragedies rise, new storms, new wrecks. But whispers of him linger, like salt in wood. Fishermen cross themselves when he walks by. Children stare as if he carries darkness in his chest. Women whisper warnings, men avoid his shadow. He is alive, but not returned. He is relic, omen, evidence of what sea can do. In bars they still tell it, but now with laughter, mocking tone, twisting details, stretching seconds to hours. But beneath laughter sits unease, because deep down they know the ocean hides worse. He drinks in silence, ignoring their voices. Rum burns, but never erases the taste of bile. Cigarette smoke curls like water in torchlight, and still, even here, he hears the whale breathing. One night storm rolls in, waves hammer and break water, thunder cracks like the rib of the world snapping. He stands on pier, coat whipping, eyes locked on black horizon, lightning flashes, and for a moment he sees shape rolling vast, the whale again, or memory sculpted by storm. But his heart knows difference, body knows truth. The ocean never forgets what it once claimed, and lightning paints reminder in raw, white fire. He grips railing until knuckles split, blood mixing with rain, the storm howls. But silence inside is louder. 36 seconds echo against thunder, and he feels himself pulled again, swallowed again. When lightning fades, horizon empties. Only waves remain, but his knees tremble. He whispers a curse, or a prayer, or both, because he knows the sea is not finished with him. He avoids sleep, because sleep is betrayal, yet exhaustion always wins, dragging him into chambers of flesh, into pressure that folds around bones, into silence that drowns louder than storms. He thrashes in dreams, sheets tangled like nets, sweat dripping like salt water, chest heaving, eyes opening to shadows that breathe, walls that bend inward, ceilings that drip with memory of dark. He lights a lamp at midnight, the flame trembling against his breath, and still the glow is swallowed by corners that look like ribs, shadows that pulse like throats, silence that hums with ocean. No prayer is enough, no drink heavy enough, no voice steady enough, because 36 seconds stretch like rope around his throat, tugging tighter with each night, each dawn, each wave he hears. He returns to shore before dawn, boots sinking deep into wet sand, horizon still black, stars fading like dying embers, and he listens to tide with head bowed, as if kneeling to something holy. The tide whispers bargains he cannot accept, promises he does not believe, threats he cannot ignore, every wave curling like invitation, every retreat like reminder, every hiss like regulator breath. He whispers too, though words feel useless, sound drowned before leaving lips, prayers broken, curses unfinished, all carried away by water, all returned as silence heavier than stone in his chest. The ocean does not answer, not with words, not with mercy, but with patience, endless and cruel, watching from beneath, waiting for moment when debt comes due, when breath is stolen again. He tells no one of storm night, of lightning carving whale's shadow across horizon, of pulse racing, hands splitting against rail, blood washing into black sea, because they would not believe him. They would laugh, call it madness, say trauma has broken him. But he knows truth, knows sea does not forget what it holds, knows 36 seconds were not ending, only beginning of sentence. He carries silence like weight in ribs, like anchor in lungs, like mark on soul. And though he walks on land, eats, breathes, speaks, he is still inside, still suspended, still swallowed alive. And he knows with certainty, terrifying and absolute, that the ocean is not finished, that it waits, patient as tide, ancient as stars, for moment to claim what it already calls its. He sits at bars where the noise is thick, glasses clinking, men shouting, music loud, but none of it drowns the deeper sound inside him, the hush of water, the hiss of regulator, the silence of ribs. He drinks until his throat burns, until his stomach twists, until his hands shake. But rum cannot wash away salt, cannot cleanse memory, cannot bleach out the feel of flesh closing. The pressure of dark laughter swells around him, but every laugh sounds hollow, every voice echoes like chamber walls. Every word bends into prayers he once whispered, into screams swallowed before they could leave his lips. He leaves with head low, boots heavy, night air colder than ocean, and still he feels tide pulling him back. Still he hears whispers of waves. Still he tastes the bitter truth on every breath. He avoids people now, avoids crowds, avoids the curious eyes that want miracle, not truth. Because miracle is light, but truth is suffocation. Miracle is clean, but truth is wet, heavy, living silence. He walks alleys alone, shoulders hunched, coat damp with fog, steps echoing like bubbles rising in black, and each turn of corner feels like twist of current, each shadow stretching like baleen, closing again. Children point, whisper Jonah, laugh and scatter. Mothers hush them, but stare too, eyes wide, unsure whether to fear him or pity him, whether to touch his sleeve or cross themselves as he passes. He feels like relic more than man, relic of ocean's cruelty, relic of 36 seconds stretched into eternity, relic of silence that breathes louder than storms, relic of fear carved into bone. At night he returns to pier, wood groaning beneath boots, horizon black, waves silver under thin moon, and he leans forward, eyes lost, heart pounding, waiting for shape that only he believes still waits. He imagines whale below, vast shadow drifting, ribs echoing, lungs humming, silence thick as stone, waiting for him, calling for him, patient as tide, cruel as hunger, certain as death itself. Lightning no longer needed, he sees it anyway, mind carving shadow from every swell, body trembling with memory, pulse hammering like drum, and he grips rail, knuckles white, whispering prayer. No one hears. He whispers, not for mercy, not for release, but for courage. Courage to face silence again. Courage to breathe inside ribs. Courage to survive 36 seconds that never end. Courage to drown without dying. Town begins to forget him. New storms, new wrecks, new names carried by wind. But forgetting is luxury he cannot afford, because the whale never left. It waits in silence, stitched into every breath, carved into marrow, humming behind a heartbeat, reminding him that 36 seconds are not past but present, not history but sentence, not miracle but tether. And though others move on, he remains chained to salt and shadow, living proof that ocean writes its own scripture on bone. He walks markets where fish lie gutted, their eyes glassy, their mouths frozen in silent scream, and he sees himself in them, body hauled out, spat onto deck, alive but emptied, a creature marked by sea, and he wonders if survival is only another form of being gutted, only another way of being displayed, his story cut open and picked clean by strangers hungry for wonder, chewing his fear like meat, never tasting the truth that silence is heavier than flesh and heavier than death. At night, when windows rattle and gulls cry in the dark, he lights no candle, because light bends into ribs, shadows grow into walls, and he has learned that no lamp keeps the whale away. Only facing the silence itself does, only breathing steady, counting seconds, surrendering to rhythm of tide within chest, and sometimes he thinks surrender is what the sea wants most, that it will not take him until he accepts it, and that acceptance terrifies him more than drowning ever did. He begins to wander farther beyond town, along cliffs where waves slam rocks, until spray coats face like tears. Cliffs where horizon stretches endless, cruel, magnificent, and he wonders if death could be this beautiful, if the whale was never monster but mirror, showing him what eternity looks like when you are inside it. 36 seconds, stripped of time, stripped of meaning, stripped of everything but pulse and breath and silence. And maybe that silence was not curse but truth. He sits at cliff edge, wind howling, coat flapping like wings, and below the waves twist and crash, and he imagines them rising, jaws opening, shadow vast, ribs closing, and he does not move, does not flinch, because part of him longs for it, longs for return, longs for the belly of silence, longs to be back in that impossible moment where life and death pressed together, where fear was pure, where faith was real, where every breath tasted like both ending and beginning at once. And in that longing he feels shame, because men should crave air, not suffocation. Men should crave freedom, not captivity. But he craves the whale, craves the silence, craves the truth of those 36 seconds. And he knows he will never be whole again, never be man again, never belong to land again. Because once you are swallowed, you do not return. You only carry the ocean inside you, and one day it will call, one day it will take, and he will not resist. One night he does not sleep, does not drink, does not walk pier. He walks instead into ocean itself, waves licking boots, jeans heavy, water climbing thighs. And he does not stop, does not hesitate, because the tide feels like home, feels like promise, feels like arms reaching, and as cold closes around waist, chest, throat. He exhales slow, steady, like diver preparing descent, like man remembering how to surrender, and his pulse steadies for first time since whale spat him out. The horizon is black, the stars gone, only tide and silence remain, and he walks deeper until feet leave sand, until body floats, until water folds him the way darkness once did, and he closes eyes, listening, waiting, and in waiting he feels it, vast, beneath, around, inside the whale or the memory, or the silence itself. But it does not matter because the sea has claimed him, not with teeth, not with jaws, but with patience. And now he is not resisting. He breathes once more through lungs empty of fear. And in that moment, he understands. Survival was never escape. Survival was invitation. And the whale was never predator, never prison, but passage. And the 36 seconds were doorway. And now, he is stepping through, willingly, surrendering to silence, surrendering to tide, surrendering to truth, that ocean is endless, ancient, and that some stories do not end on land, Some stories are swallowed whole and carried forever in the deep. The sea folds around him, black and endless, the cold biting through fabric and flesh. But he does not shiver, he does not fight, because for the first time since survival, he feels whole, feels the ocean not as enemy but as body he belongs to. And he thinks maybe the whale knew. Maybe it carried him not to kill but to mark, not to devour, but to awaken. 36 seconds of being nowhere and everywhere. 36 seconds of becoming silence itself. And he knows it was truth. He drifts farther, the shore a memory dissolving, the boat a shadow forgotten, his arms loose at his sides, and every wave seems to cradle him, not drown, every current seems to guide, not drag. And for a moment he laughs, low and bitter, but real, because the townspeople will never know, the reporters will never capture, the world will never understand, that the miracle was not survival but surrender, that the sea did not give him back, it only lent him to land for a while. And now the loan has ended, and he feels no regret, only release, because he has carried weight too long, silence too heavy, fear too sharp. And though the whale is nowhere in sight, he knows it is here, knows it is always here, in the depth, in the tide, in the breath of the world itself. And when he exhales one final time, the bubbles rising silver and dark, he smiles, because 36 seconds are beginning again, not ending. And this time there will be no return, only belonging. The ocean closes above like a door without hinges, smooth, eternal, unbroken, and beneath it he drifts downward, lungs empty, mind clear, body surrendered, and he feels the silence expand, not suffocating but infinite, a cathedral of dark with ribs of water, and he realizes death is not jaws or teeth or fear. It is silence, the same silence he carried since that day, and in it he finds something he never thought possible. Peace, heavy as stone, soft as tide, endless as horizon. Somewhere in the deep a shape moves, vast and slow, a shadow larger than thought, and though eyes are blurred, though light is gone, he knows it, knows the curve, knows the breath, knows the body that once carried him, and for a heartbeat, he is afraid, but only for a heartbeat, because then he understands. The whale was never monster, never curse. It was messenger, it was guide, it was truth. And now, it is here again, not to spit him out, not to save, but to take him home. And as the whale opens wide, darkness folding within darkness, he does not resist, does not thrash, does not fight, because this is not 36 seconds anymore. This is forever. This is what he has been walking towards since the moment he was first swallowed. And when he is taken again, he closes his eyes, breathes silence, and for the first time, feels whole, feels complete, feels returned to where he always belonged. Inside the living ocean, inside the endless dark, inside the truth of the deep, the town will speak of him for years. Some saying he vanished at sea, some saying he drowned, some saying he chased the whale that once spared him, and all their stories will be wrong, because the truth is too heavy to hold, too strange to repeat, too deep to survive on land, and only the ocean knows, only the tide remembers, only the silence carries his name now. 36 seconds stretched into eternity, and eternity stretched into story, not miracle, not myth, but warning carved in salt. And those who stand on shore at dawn, staring at horizon where sky bleeds into sea, may feel it too, may sense something vast watching from beneath, patient and endless, a silence that presses against ribs and whispers inside lungs. And maybe they will walk away. Maybe they will laugh. Maybe they will pray. But a few will understand without reason, without proof, that the ocean has swallowed more than bodies. It swallows stories. It swallows time. It swallows truth. And it never lets go, because survival is not living. Survival is being chosen. And once chosen, you never leave. You carry ocean in your veins, whale in your breath, silence in your soul. And the world above will never hear what you carry, never believe what you know. But deep down, you will always feel it. That the sea is waiting, that the tide is patient, that the darkness is alive, and that 36 seconds can stretch forever, swallowing not just one man, but everyone who dares to listen to his story. The sea holds him now, not as prisoner, but as part of itself. Every ripple carrying his pulse, every current carrying his memory. And though the town will forget, though names fade, though stories twist, the ocean does not forget, the whale does not forget, the silence does not forget, and deep beneath waves his 36 seconds are still beating, still echoing, still waiting, proof that survival is not escape but transformation, not miracle, but inheritance, written not in ink, but in salt and dark. Some say the sea is endless because it hides more than land can bear. Some say whales sing because they remember what men cannot. And maybe both are true, because in the hush between waves, in the stillness before storm, there is a voice, faint but steady, not of man, not of beast, but of silence itself, whispering the story of a diver who was swallowed and returned, not once, but twice. And in that whisper lives warning, lives awe, lives terror, lives faith, lives the truth, that water is never empty. And if you stand at the edge of night, waves breaking at your feet, wind heavy with salt, and you listen closely, you might feel it too, the hush pressing against your ribs, the pull tightening your chest, the silence alive inside your breath. And for a moment, you will know what he knew, that the sea is patient, that the whale is eternal, that 36 seconds can swallow a lifetime, and that once you are chosen, you do not escape. You only belong, not to land, not to story, but to the endless dark. The endless dark is not a place you escape. It is a place that escapes with you, stitched into your veins. A second shadow you cannot outrun. You walk the streets again, but pavement feels thin, sky feels brittle, because once you have been carried in the ribs of the sea, the world is never solid again. They call you lucky, they call you miracle, but the truth is quieter, heavier. You were unmade and remade, and now you carry the ocean inside every breath. At night you wake, sweating salt, hearing that cavernous heartbeat, and you know part of you never left. Part of you still drifts where no light survives, and maybe that is the real story. Not survival, but initiation. Not miracle, but invitation to see how fragile life is, how deep the unknown still waits. Because if 36 seconds can erase everything you thought you knew, imagine what waits in the next wave, the next dive, the next story whispered by the dark. And if you want to hear those stories, the ones buried, swallowed, almost erased, stay with us. Let the dark open again. Let the sea speak again. Subscribe, because the next survival may not be in the sea, but in the forest, the desert, the sky itself. And you will want to know how far the human spirit can go. This was 36 seconds inside a whale, but it is only the beginning, the first chapter of many, and the dark is far from finished with us.